In the early 2000s, a young man from the tough streets of Crumlin, Dublin, posted a simple message online. "We're not here to take part, we're here to take over." This phrase would become the motto of a fighter who went from being a plumber with a dream to one of the biggest names in UFC history. Conor McGregor's journey wasn't just about winning titles. It was about overcoming poverty, doubt, and personal struggles to become a global star. This is the untold story of Conor McGregor, the fighter who changed the game forever. In the gritty streets of Crumlin, Dublin, dreams often stayed just that, dreams. But for a young boy named Conor McGregor, the harsh environment wasn't just a challenge, it was a crucible that forged a fighter. Crumlin's narrow streets, lined with modest homes, set the stage for Conor's early years. It was here that he first learned the value of grit. While other kids played rugby, young McGregor was captivated by boxing. Makeshift gyms with cracked punching bags became his sanctuary, a place where he could dream of a life beyond Dublin's gray skies. But the journey was far from glamorous. With limited resources and countless doubters, McGregor's first fights were against the very circumstances he was born into. Even then, his eyes reflected an unshakable belief, a belief that the world would one day chant his name. At 18, Conor McGregor stood at a crossroads, a life of steady income as a plumber or the unpredictable world of professional fighting. For most, the choice would be obvious. For Conor, it wasn't even a question. Days as a plumber began early, with cold mornings and grueling hours of labor. But every evening, McGregor would trade tools for gloves, stepping into a dimly lit gym to pursue a dream only he seemed to see. "This is temporary," he'd tell himself, his hands bruised from training. To Conor, hardships weren't obstacles. They were fuel. The dream of becoming a fighter wasn't just alive. It grew with every drop of sweat that hit the mat. The road to greatness is rarely paved, and Conor McGregor's journey through MMA was no exception. Fighting in small venues, earning barely enough to get by, McGregor faced an uphill battle that would break most. The early days of McGregor's MMA career tested his willpower. Fights in dimly lit halls with sparse crowds marked the start of his rise. These weren't just battles in the cage, they were battles for survival. With every punch, kick, and submission, McGregor wasn't just fighting opponents. He was fighting the doubts of those who said he'd never make it. Behind the scenes, McGregor's obsession with improvement was unmatched. Studying fights and refining his craft, he built the confidence that would later define him. These small stage battles weren't setbacks. They were stepping stones to greatness. In 2013, the UFC wasn't ready for what was about to hit them. Conor McGregor didn't just enter the octagon, he arrived with a roar, bringing charisma, talent, and an unmatched hunger for greatness. McGregor's UFC debut was explosive. A dazzling knockout announced him to the world, not just as another fighter, but as a phenomenon. His confident words and electrifying performances quickly turned him into a global sensation. Dana White called him special, and fans couldn't get enough of the Irishman with a sharp tongue and sharper fists. For McGregor, the octagon wasn't just a battlefield. It was a stage where he was rewriting the sport's history. Fighting wasn't just a sport for Conor McGregor, it was theater. From trash-talking at press conferences to bold predictions that often came true, McGregor turned every fight into an unmissable event. McGregor's unmatched charisma elevated him to icon status. He called his knockouts before they happened, delivering with precision and flair. His press conferences were spectacles, filled with viral moments that left fans and critics alike in awe. "Precision beats power, and timing beats speed," he once said, proving it time and again. McGregor wasn't just a fighter, he was a showman the world couldn't look away from. With every fight, Conor McGregor climbed higher, rewriting the history of MMA and capturing the imagination of millions. His era of dominance was unlike anything the sport had ever seen. Victories over legends like Jose Aldo and Eddie Alvarez weren't just wins, they were statements. His 13-second knockout of Aldo shocked the world, cementing his place in MMA history. The dual championship belts over his shoulders became symbols of an unprecedented reign. Fans tuned in, not just to watch fights, but to witness history. McGregor wasn't just participating in MMA, he was defining it. Fame isn't without its price. For Conor McGregor, the highs of success were soon met with the lows of controversy, defeats, and personal struggles. Public altercations and courtroom appearances began to overshadow his career. Losses in high-profile fights questioned his aura of invincibility. Yet through every setback, McGregor's belief in himself remained unbroken. In these moments, McGregor's humanity became evident. He wasn't just a superstar, he was a man grappling with the weight of his choices and fame. True champions aren't defined by how they fall, but by how they rise. For McGregor, redemption wasn't about proving others wrong. It was about proving himself right. Determined to reclaim his spot at the top, McGregor returned to the gym with renewed focus. Training montages showcased a fighter chasing not just glory, but redemption. His return fights became a testament to his resilience, proving his story was far from over. Beyond the belts and bravado, Conor McGregor's true legacy lies in the fighters he's inspired and the barriers he's broken for MMA. Young fighters in Ireland and across the globe see McGregor as proof that dreams are achievable with grit and determination. His journey from Crumlin to the global stage became a blueprint for aspiring athletes. Conor McGregor isn't just a fighter, he's a brand. From launching a whiskey empire to lucrative endorsement deals, McGregor redefined what it means to be a modern athlete. His proper number, 12 whiskey, became a global success, and his ventures showcased the same boldness as his fighting. McGregor proved ambition isn't confined to the cage, trailblazing a path for fighters transitioning into business. Conor McGregor's story isn't just about victories and defeats. It's a testament to ambition, resilience, and the unbreakable spirit of a fighter.